Okay, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So, the last session, we have started this topic, chapter 1, introduction, and we discuss about the importance, significance of Fiqh Muamalat and the definition of Fiqh Muamalat, right? And we also discuss, we said that there is a difference in the meaning of Fiqh Muamalat between classical and modern context, right? In classical, the fiqh muamalat includes everything. Can be muamalat finance, can be politics, can be criminal, can be justice, or anything except ibadat. But in modern context, when we say fiqh muamalat, we mean only the financial transaction, right? Okay. So we discuss between the difference of Sharia and fiqh, right? Some people confused. Some people always think that Sharia and fiqh is the same, but this is not the same, right? When we say Islam, yes, Islam, Sharia, our religion, this is the same. But fiqh is the part of Sharia, right? Sharia has three things: faith, law, and ethics, right? Um, that's why we see the Sharia principles are fixed, cannot be changed. But sometimes we see the ruling of fiqh, it could be changed based on the time, based on the situation, right? So this is the difference between Sharia and fiqh, and we discuss the importance of fiqh muamalat to control, to govern, and to protect our rights and responsibilities in the for transaction. And fiqh muamalat enjoy justice. How? By having mutual consent, prohibition of consuming property, by imposing transparency, and then prohibition of usury, uncertainty, and gambling. Right? Fiqh Muamalat also encourage productivity because Fiqh Muamalat prescribes many types of contract: sale contract, lease contract, partnership, agency, right? Guarantee, many things. So all of this contract has relation with the real economic activities. So if you don't have any activity, you cannot undertake any of the contracts, right? That's why Fiqh Muamalat always encourage to do something, to have something, to do some economic activities, to use some asset. Right. Fiqh Muamalat also promote welfare because it has the contract of cards, hiba, donation, waqaf, endowment, sadaqat, charity. Right. Card means Qardul Hasan here. Benevolent loan means the loan without any extra benefit. Right. Okay. And we also mentioned that learning fiqh muamalat is a collective obligation for everyone. So if anybody does not acquire knowledge, all members of the society will be sinful. But if a group of people they learn fiqh muamalat, so it will be enough for the rest. This is called collective obligation. Okay. So finally, we discuss the legal sources of fiqh muamalat, primary and secondary. Right? Primary, Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and Qiyas, and secondary, Urf, Maslaha Mursala. Urf means custom, Maslaha Mursala means unattested public interest, Saddu Zarai means blocking the evil means, closing the door of doing harm or doing something bad, right? Or doing something which is not allowed in Sharia, all right? Istishab, presumption of continuity, and then istihsan, juristic preference. So inshallah, today we will discuss the details of all these sources. All right. So are you ready for that? Do you have any question so far? So this is, I just give the brief summary of what we have discussed in the last session. All right. So any question? Ada soalan?
Doctor,
Yes.
what is the difference between ijma and qiyas?
What is the difference between ijma and qiyas? So we are going to discuss the details, inshallah. Okay, just wait.
All right, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Okay, so let's moving on. So the first one, the Quran. Yeah, we all know what is Quran, and Alhamdulillah, we used to recite, we used to memorize, right? We used to recite Quran in Salat or outside Salat. So Quran is the first and main source of Sharia, right? So what is the meaning of Quran? The literal meaning is the reading or recitation, because Quran comes from the root word is qara'a, qaf, ra, hamza. Qara'a means in Arabic to read something, to recite something. All right. So scholars say why Quran is named with Quran, because Quran is the Quran is the book that is most ever recited uh, on the surface, on the earth, right? So Quran is the book that is mostly recited or have read the Quran by the people, right? Under the sky, on the ground. So that's why it is called Quran. Quran means makruh. Makruh means what have been recited, what have been read. But when we say Quran as a term, the as a term of fiqh, because Quran we are talking about now as one of the sources of fiqh, right? One of the sources of fiqh muamalat or other branches of fiqh. So in this sense, Quran means the book containing the words of Allah. Quran is the book that includes the words, the commands of Allah revealed in Arabic, right, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and transmitted to us by continuous testimony. Right. So there are some components, some important components in the definition of Quran. The first one is the book that includes the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Al-Quranu kalamullah. Quran is the speech. Quran is the statement. Quran is the command and instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. So far we have only one thing uh, that can be a bridge, that can be a connection between the earth and the sky, and that is only Quran, right? We don't have any prophet, we don't have anything else from the sky, only we have Quran. So we can connect with the sky through the Quran only, right? So this is the book that contain the speech, the words, the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Arabic. So the Arabic language is part and parcel of the Quran, right? So Quran, a book that have been revealed from the sky on the earth in Arabic language. That's why the Prophet said, you have to love, and you have to learn the Arabic language for three reasons. The first one, Quran is in Arabic. The second one, I am as a prophet, I speak Arabic. My mother tongue is Arabic, right? I am an Arab. And the third one is the language of Ahlul Jannah is Arabic, right? So that's why we have to learn and we have to love Quran, right? Quran is the language for religion, for our Islam. Whoever want to be expert in this religion, whoever want to be scholar, he or she has to learn Arabic, okay? And it has been revealed to the Prophet and then transmitted to us by continuous testimony. Continuous testimony means each and every time, each and every age, a lot of people, a big number of people, they are transmitted Quran from one to one, right? So this is called in Arabic tawatir. Tawatir means a message or an information that have been transmitted by group to group, group to group. So when a message or an information is transmitted by group to group, it means there is no doubtfulness. There is no doubt, right? It cannot be false because otherwise not everyone transmit each to other. Right? So Quran is something that each and every time, now a lot of number of people, a group of people, they are transmitted from group to group, group to group, right? Without any hesitation. So this is an indication on the authentication and truthfulness and genuineness of the Quran, right? So this is the technical definition of Quran. Um, Quran, this is a book containing the words of Allah revealed in Arabic to the Prophet ﷺ and transmitted to us by continuous testimony. Okay. Next, the Sunnah, the second one. Sunnah is the second primary source of Islamic law, right? So Sunnah means literally the clear path or beaten track, means the clean road, right? There is no problem, no disturbance on the road, right? Nothing is disturbing you. The clean and smooth path. Sunnah also means the customary practices, the culture, the normative practice, right? Or any established course of conduct. This is also called Sunnah. We can say literally, this is my Sunnah, means this is my practice, or this is my culture. This is the way I do. This is the way I speak. This is the way I talk, right? So this can be Sunnah, literally. But when we say as a term, Sunnah means everything that is narrated from the Prophet ﷺ, including his action, his sayings, and whatever he has tacitly approved. Right. So basically, the three things from the Prophet ﷺ will be included in the Sunnah. The first is the Prophet's action, what he has did. Right. The Prophet sayings, what he has said, and then whatever he has tacitly means silently approved. Means something has been done in front of him, or something has been said in front of him, but he didn't refuse, he didn't say anything, he keeps silent. So this one also will be considered Sunnah, because if that action is wrong, of course he would say this is wrong, right? So he never be silent on something that is wrong, right? So this is also considered Sunnah. So what is Sunnah? Sunnah is the actions, the sayings, and whatever the Prophet tacitly approved, that will be called Sunnah. Right. So we have Quran and we have Sunnah. So what is the relation between Quran and Sunnah? Some people confuse. They say Quran is enough for us. Why we need Sunnah? Right? They call Ahlul Quran. Their name is called Ahlul Quran. They say Quran is enough, but Quran is not enough. We need Sunnah apart from the Quran. Quran and Sunnah they complete each other. That's why we have to know the relation between Quran and Sunnah. What is the relation? Number one, the Sunnah explains and further elaborates the meaning of the Quran. Right? So Sunnah explain and further elaborate, we call tafsir, right? The meaning of the Quran. That's why when we don't understand anything in the Quran, we refer to Sunnah. How the Prophet ﷺ explained these words of the Quran. Right? Tafsirul Quran with Sunnah. And that will be the most authentic tafsir. If we got any riwayat, if we got any narration from the Prophet ﷺ, referring to any text or any words of the Quran. All right. So the Sunnah explain and elaborate the meaning of the Quran. Number two, the Sunnah supports the rulings already stated in the Quran.
嗯
Sometimes we see the Quran also say something, And the Sunnah also says the same thing, the same command or the same ruling. So they support each other. This is something I emphasis, right, uh, on whatever mentioned in the Quran. Number three, sometimes the Sunnah act as an independent source of Sharia. So we got something that is not mentioned in the Quran, but that is mentioned in Sunnah. So Sunnah uh, explain the meaning of the Quran. Sunnah help us to understand the Quran, and sometimes Sunnah supports whatever mentioned in the Quran. So if let's say something already mentioned in the Quran, but we might confuse or we might not clear to understand, then if we see that the same thing in the Sunnah, so it will help us to understand and to get the whole meaning, to get the whole picture, right? And number three, sometimes the Sunnah act as an independent source, means something that is not mentioned in the Quran, this is mentioned in Sunnah. So we can't follow the Islam completely, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, udkhulu fis silmi kaffa. You enter into the Islam completely, but we cannot do that completely without the help of Sunnah. Dr. Yusuf Al-Qardawi has a book, very nice book. The name of the book is Sunnah is the Source of Civilization. Sunnah Masdarul Hadara. So the source or the root of Islamic civilization is Sunnah. That's why the enemy of Islam, they want to destroy the authenticity and the genuineness of Sunnah. They want to create shubhat, the doubts in the Sunnah. If they can destroy the Sunnah, the Islamic civilization will collapse, right? If not the whole, but most part of the Islamic civilization will be collapsed, because many things we can learn and we have found in the Sunnah. All right. So this is how the importance of Sunnah. All right. So Quran and Sunnah, they complete each other. Of course, Quran is the first one and Sunnah is the second one in terms of the sources of Sharia. Okay. Number three. Okay, I will finish first the primary sources, Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, Qiyas. Then I will give you floor to ask the question. Okay, don't worry. Ijma, number three. What is the meaning of Ijma? Ijma means consensus. Consensus means um, agreement, the 100% agreement. If somebody agrees and some other people disagrees, so this will not be consensus. So Ijma, third source of Sharia, this is coming from the word ajma'a. The ajma'a means to determine, to agree upon something, right? When we say ajma'a talaba, means all the student, ajma'a jami' or talaba, all the student agree to continue the class today, right? So this is called ijma. If 100% agreement we found from the student, right? But in terms of the source, the technically ijma means the unanimous agreement of the scholars. Scholars, we mean here mujtahideen, Muslim scholars in the Muslim community of any period following the demise of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on any matter. Right. This is academic language. Simple meaning, we want to always try to simplify. The simple meaning of ijma means the agreement, the unanimous agreement of Muslim scholars, mujtahidun. Mujtahidun means who expert in the fiqh, in the usul, in the maqasid, right? The expert in Islamic law. So the unanimous agreement of the mujtahidun, Muslim scholars, in any time, in any period, on any issue relating to the Sharia after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right. So right now, let's say now we are in 2020. So if all the scholars of this Muslim Ummah in this time they agree on something, so that we can consider ijma, right? This is called ijma. all the scholars on the earth, if they agree on something right now, so it will be considered ijma. So whoever comes after that, they have to follow this one. If they want to, they do not want to follow, then they have to create another ijma, right, to change the ruling. Okay, so this one also considered the source of Sharia. So in any time, in any period, if all the Muslim scholars they agree on anything after the Prophet ﷺ, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, so this will include, this will call ijma. So there are some requirements, some essential requirements of ijma. Number one is there are a number of qualified scholars available at the time the issue is encountered. Let's say anything happens right now, so we must have a big number of qualified scholars. If we don't have qualified scholars, if we don't have anyone or a big number who are expert in Sharia, in fiqh, in usul, in maqasid, in other things, so cannot be ijma. And number two, all the scholars must reach a consensus on a judicial opinion at the time an issue arises. Number one, we have a big number of scholars. Number two, all of them agree on any issue. Right. So all of them must be agree. Number three, the agreement of the scholars must be demonstrated by their expressed opinion on a particular issue. The expression may be verbal or in writing. So how do we know that all the scholars agree or not? So they must say that we agree, or they must express in writing. All right. So three things is an essential requirement for ijma. Number one, a big number of Sharia scholars available. Number two, all the scholars must agree on the issue. Number three, they must demonstrate their expression or their agreement clearly, whether in by verbal or in writing. Okay, so these three things must be available in order to have ijma. Okay, let's say we have we don't have 100% agreement. We got someone who disagree or who keeps silent, who doesn't say anything. I agree or I disagree. All right. So from this perspective, there are two types of ijma. Number one is we call ijma sarih, explicit ijma, explicit consensus. Right. Explicit consensus means all the scholars they made their expression that we agree or we disagree. Right. So this is called ijma sarih. Means we got the explicit, we got the clear expression or clear demonstration from the scholars. The second type is ijma sukuti. Ijma sukuti means some of them keep silent, right? They didn't say or they don't say anything. Some of mujtahidun, they expressed opinion while the rest remain silent. So this is called ijma sukuti. So we have two types of ijma. Ijma sarih, the clear expression we found from the scholars, and then ijma sukuti, we don't find or we didn't found the clear expression from all scholars. Rather, some of the scholars they keep silent. Of course, in terms of the status, in terms of the position, the ijma sarih is much more stronger than ijma sukuti. So if let's say there is a clash between ijma sarih and ijma sukuti, then ijma sarih shall be given priority, right? So this is the difference between ijma sarih and ijma sukuti. Okay. Okay. before explaining qiyas, because qiyas is a bit complicated, so but we will try to simplify it. Do you have any questions so far? Do you understand what I have explained just now? Hello, guys, you have to speak. Okay, do you listening me? Hello,
Yes, yes.
why I don't find any sound? Then I will consider everyone absent if you don't participate with me. You have to participate with me. Okay, do you understand what just now I have explained? Is it okay? Any question?
Okay.
Okay.
No, Swalan?
No question.
Okay, okay. But at least say something. Otherwise, how could I know that you are there? Okay.
Okay,
This is the challenge to conduct the class online actually. Okay. Okay. Next, the qiyas. Qiyas is the number 4 and the last one from the primary source. Actually, qiyas means the literally measuring one thing in terms of another. You have something already, so you compare uh, something new on something you already have, right? So what is qiyas? Uh, this is very academic definition, very bookish word. The extension of a hukum of an existing case found in the text of the Quran and Sunnah or Ijma to a new case whose hukum is not found in their sources on the basis of common underlying attribute we call illa. Okay. Um, for qiyas, you must have four pillars, four things. Number one is you have an original case that already you have, and you have a new case that you are trying to get the Sharia rulings for that. Number three is illa. Illa means the effective cause. Illa means something common between the new case and the original case. Something that can be bridged between the new case and the original case. And then you have the ruling for the original case, and you want to pass that ruling to the new case. Okay, let me give you example, then I hope you will understand. Um, in the Quran and Hadith, the mention riba is explained already, right? So riba is the original case, the existing case. So original ruling is prohibition of usury in exchange of gold and silver. So the original ruling is the riba is haram, right? And what is the illa? The medium of exchange. Because gold and silver is used as a medium of exchange. Even though it is not used, but always it is considered something as a currency. Gold and silver never be considered as commodity. Even though we don't use gold and silver in our transaction, but still it is considered as a medium of exchange. So we have the original case, what is riba, and we have the ruling for original case, what is the riba is haram, and we have the illa. The illa is medium of exchange. So what is the new case? The new case is modern currency, the ringgit, the dollar. So can the ruling of riba is applicable in the new case, in the ringgit? Can we compare ringgit on the gold with the gold? Can we compare dollar with the gold? Yes, we can do qiyas. So qiyas means comparison on something new, comparison of something new with something that we already have. So we have gold and we have the ruling, the Sharia hukum for the gold, and we have illa. Now we try to find a Sharia hukum for a new case. So we compare, we do qiyas. All right. So the new case is modern currency. So the new ruling is prohibition of usury in exchange of modern currency. Okay, because gold cannot exchange with the gold except at par. Means 100-gram gold can be exchanged only for 100-gram gold. So same goes to the ringgit. 1 ringgit can be exchanged only for 1 ringgit. Okay. So how do we know that? So we do qiyas. We do qiyas of ringgit on the gold. So we compare qiyas with the gold. So we apply the hukum of the gold into the ringgit. So this is called qiyas. All right. Comparing something that is a new case with something that already exists in, already we have, based on an illa, based on that something common between the new case and the original case. So we just try to extend the ruling of the original case, the hukum of the original case, towards something new case. Okay. So as we mentioned before, the pillar, so we need al-asal, the original case. So in the example we mentioned, the original case, gold. What is the new case? The second pillar, the new case is ringgit, modern currency. What is the illa? The illa is medium of exchange. The gold is medium of exchange. The currency also, the ringgit also medium of exchange. The hukmul asal, the original ruling. So the original ruling of the gold is riba, haram, right? So the same ruling also will be applicable into the ringgit. So this is called qiyas. This is scientific experiment, right? How do people make scientific experiment? They apply whatever knowledge they have to get something new. All right. So this is called qiyas, called Islamic scientific experiment, Islamic methodology for scientific doing scientific experiment, right? Okay. So this is called qiyas. Compare something new on something already we have based on an illa. What is illa? Illa means a bridge between the new case and the original case. What we want to do? We want to do the hukum of the original case. We want to apply the hukum of the original case into the new case. So our original case is gold. Our original hukum is riba. So illa is medium of exchange. So based on this illa, we want to apply the hukum of the gold into the modern currency, which is ringgit, dollar, and so on. Okay, so this is all about qiyas. Okay, do you understand now qiyas? Okay, can anyone give any other example of qiyas? Please give me another example of qiyas from your side. I give you one example of gold and other modern currency. So do you have any other example? Anybody? Okay, come on. Any example of qiyas, please? Okay, air kitum. What is air kitum? What is kitum? Air, I know air means water. What is kitum?
Drop.
Alcohol.
Oh, Alcohol, yes, yes. Oh, okay. Alcohol, drug, yes. Good example. So we have already the ruling of the khamar, wine. Yes, something can, yeah, understand. Okay. So we have already the wine, the khamar. Khamar is haram. So we can apply that ruling uh, to something new. Nowadays, there are many forms of drug, heroin, penicillin, or I don't know how many, right? So the ruling will be same. Anything that can make the people drunk, that can pollute or collapse the intellect of the human being. So all this haram. What is the illa? Can you find the illa between the khamar and the new drugs? Drunk, yes, intoxication, drunk. The illa means making the people drunk. Good one. So this is about this is called qiyas. Okay. So Alhamdulillah, I hope you understand. Faham. So these are the first four primary sources: the Quran and Sunnah, followed by ijma and qiyas. Okay. Now we can move to the secondary sources. The secondary sources, number one is istihsan. What is istihsan? The literal meaning of istihsan means to approve, to deem something preferable, or to consider something as good. So istihsan means to consider something good. Istihsan coming from Hasan, right? Hasan means the good, the better, the excellent. All right. So istihsan means I consider this one very good. This is the literal meaning of istihsan. But when we mean to, we refer as a secondary source of istihsan, what do we mean? We mean moving away from the implication of analogy. Analogy means qiyas, to an analogy that is stronger than it. Or it is the restriction of analogy by an evidence that is stronger than it. Very academic word, very bookish language. Just make it simple. Istihsan means second thought. We have primary thought, which is qiyas, but istihsan means second thought, something more stronger than the apparent qiyas. Right. For example, let me give you an example. In Muamalat, when we have ijab and qabul, right, offer and acceptance, the contract will be concluded, right? The seller said, I have sold this item to you for this amount, and the buyer say accepted, done. Ijab or qabul, and the contract is final. But we have something called bayu salam contract, right? Forward sale. And we have something called istisna, manufacturing contract. That is Islamic contract, no doubt. But in salam and istisna, there is no subject matter, right? Okay, forget salam istisna right now. Relating to the ijab and qabul, we have something called option, khiyar shart. Even though we have made ijab and qabul, but still I can put a clause that I have to be given 3 days option to think more or to talk with someone regarding the contract, whether it is okay for me or not. So this is called khiyar shart, right? Option by stipulation. I can stipulate in the contract that I should be given 3 days option, even though we have made ijab and qabul. So the qiyas said, when we have made ijab and qabul, the contract is final. But second thought, Istihsan said, no. We can put 3 days option. Otherwise, we might be suffered. Otherwise, I could be wrong in this transaction, right? This transaction can be harmful for me. Maybe I don't know the subject matter. Maybe I'm not expert, right? So this here is legalized in Islamic law based on istihsan to ensure the maslahah of the people, right? Because Sharia is always the proper maslahah of the people. So this khiyarushat is legalized based on istihsan. So istihsan is the second thought to ensure the maslahah of the people, right? So istihsan is something more stronger analogy from the qiyas. The qiyas said, the apparent ruling said, as long as you have made ijab and qabul, the contract should be final. But istihsan said, no, no, no. You can make still 3 days option in order to ensure your maslaha, in order to ensure your benefit, your goodness in the contract. Right. So this is kind of second thought, kind of exception. But that exception also should be in line with the Sharia principles, should ensure maslaha of the people, maslaha of the society, well-being of the society. So this is called istihsan. So I give you one example, khiyaru shart, option. Another example is salam and istisna. Because in Islamic law, if you want to do buy and sell, you must have the subject matter. You want to buy a telephone and mobile, so the mobile should be available, right? So you cannot do buy and sell without any commodity or subject matter. But in salam, there is no subject matter yet. The subject matter will come after 3 months, 4 months. When we do manufacturing contract, the subject matter is not available right now. It will be manufactured and produced later on. But still Sharia allow that salam and istisna to ensure the maslahah of the people, because people need for that. In manufacturing contract, sometime at the beginning of the project, people could not have the whole amount of the money. And in salam basically the agro product. So in agriculture, the farmer, sometimes they don't have money, they need advance. So you pay advance. Of course, you will get some cheaper price because you pay advance, and the farmer will make delivery after 3 months, after getting the crops and after doing harvesting, right? So this is based on istihsan. All right. So istihsan means to move away from the apparent analogy to another analogy which is stronger than the previous one, because always the second thought is something stronger than the earlier thought. You thought something yesterday, but suddenly today you got something new idea. Of course, your new idea will be preferred to you compared to the yesterday idea, right? So this is called istihsan. Okay, I hope you understand. So istihsan, of course, nobody can do istihsan based on his desire. Istihsan also must have the Sharia justification. Istihsan could be based on the text, based on the legal text, Quran and Sunnah. Istihsan could be based on any other source, based on ijma, based on other sources. Istihsan could be based on maslaha of the people. All right. So istihsan also must have some justification. Just I want to do that, so I can do. No, it's not doing something on desire, right? It's doing something. Of course, it is exception kind of, but should be based on any other Sharia justification. Okay, so this is called istihsan. Okay, can go next. Uh, Next one is istishab. Istishab means continuance of companionship. Sahabat, we call sahabat, right? Sahabat means being together, right? Companion. So istishab means uh, continue to be together. For example, let's say a couple got married. So we assume they will be always together. Their marriage will continue unless we got a news on their divorce. All right, this is called istishab. So if anything happens once a time, right, certainly, then it cannot be removed unless otherwise is proven with the evidence. So istihsan means presumption of continuance of an earlier rule or its continued absence. Right. In other words, istishab means the maintenance of a status quo, means maintaining the present situation unless the otherwise is proven or verified. For example, man by born is innocent, right? So we cannot say anybody, Mr. A, you are guilty unless we prove it in front of the court. So man by born is innocent and man will remain, human being will remain innocent unless we can prove he's guilty. All right. This is called istishab. Man by born is free from loan. So they will remain free from loan unless you can prove that they took loan from you. Right. So if you want to say Mr. A took loan from you and Mr. A say no, I didn't take. So you must have submit evidence to prove that he took loan from you. But Mr. A doesn't need to submit any evidence. His evidence is istishab because this is normal. Human being born free of loan. All right. So this is called istishab. Istishab also another example. Everything is permissible in Sharia unless otherwise it happens. So let's say in Islamic finance or Islamic Muamalat, we can come up any product, right? Any services. We can develop any product because everything is halal, unless we found something otherwise. Let's say you come up a new product, so no need any evidence to prove that it is halal. The dalil is istishab. But if I want to challenge you, then I have to find out something against Islam. Let's say I have found that it has involvement with riba, or it has something other, or it becomes close to the maisir, then only I can challenge you. Right. So everything is permissible. This is also example of istishab. All right. You took loan from me. Let's say Mr. A took loan from me. I have evidence. But Mr. A is claiming that he already settled the loan, but he doesn't have any evidence. So who will get the judgment? I will get the judgment because I have the evidence. So if something is proven by evidence, that will not be removed unless otherwise it happens with the evidence. All right. This is called all istishab. Okay. If a couple got married, their marriage will continue unless there is an evidence on their divorce. Okay, this is called istishab. So istishab is gives a big flexibility of Islamic law, especially in muamalat, because in muamalat, according to istishab, everything is halal unless you can prove that it is haram, unless you can found something goes against the Islamic law, right? So this is called istishab. Okay, so this is another secondary source of fiqh muamalat or Islamic law. Number 3 is maslaha. Just now we mentioned maslaha, but this one maslaha mursala. Maslaha mursala means there are 3 types of maslaha in Islamic in muamalat or in fiqh. One maslaha is clearly accepted, like maslaha of salat, maslaha of zakat, maslaha of hajj, maslaha of sadaqat, that is accepted. Another type maslaha is rejected, like maslaha of riba, maslaha of doing the fraud. By doing fraud, temporarily people get some benefit, right? But that is not accepted, that is not allowed. Number 3 is maslaha, that is neither accepted nor rejected. Sharia keeps silent. This is called maslaha mursala. Okay, so maslaha mursala means we know maslaha means the benefit of the people, right? So maslaha mursala means the benefit of the people that Sharia keeps silent on their legal status, whether accepted or rejected. All right. So, what is the decision? The decision is that maslaha will be considered as long as there is no contradiction with the fundamental principle of Sharia. Right. So, there are three types of maslaha. As I mentioned already, maslaha is allowed clearly, like maslaha of salat, zakat, siyam, hajj, and so on. Another maslaha is clearly rejected, like maslaha of riba, gharar, maisir, maslaha of doing fraud, deception, and so on. Number third types of maslaha is neither accepted nor rejected, means no clear instruction from Sharia on that. Sharia keeps silent. So what is the ruling of that maslaha? The decision is that maslaha will be accepted as long as there is no contradiction with any fundamental of Islamic law. Faham. So, but however, there are some conditions for that maslaha mursala. The first one is that maslaha must be genuine. It shouldn't be any imaginary maslaha. Right. Just I assume there could be benefit of the people, cannot be like that. It's sure that there is benefit for the people. So maslaha must be genuine. Second one, maslaha must be general. When we talk about maslaha in the respective or relating to the Islamic law, always we refer maslaha of the people, not maslaha of individual. The maslaha of individual will never be considered. Only maslaha of the people. Maslaha must be general. Finally, maslaha must not be in conflict with the principle of Sharia. So these are the three conditions of maslaha. Okay. Next, saddu zaraya. Sad means block. Zaraya means wasila, means. So saddu zaraya means blocking the means. But when we say blocking the means, of course, blocking the means to evil, something that leads to something harmful or haram. So that is called saddu zaraya. For example, sale of the grapes, right? Producing the grapes or making investment for the production of the grapes. But if the grape production, their intention is to supply for the wine factory, then that is haram, because their intention is haram. Even though the selling the grapes, producing the grapes, investment for the production of grapes itself is halal, but if it is an wasila, it is a means to something that is haram, so this one also will be haram. This is called saddu zarai. So saddu zarai means blocking the lawful means to an unlawful end, right? Even though that action itself halal, selling the grapes is halal, right? Producing the grapes is halal. Grapes is halal food, so no issue. But if somebody, his intention, or he already made agreement with a wine factory, with a legal factory, that he will make supply, he will supply for their raw materials. So that production, that sale, and that investment will also be haram. So this is called saddu zara'i, right? Uh, for example, Allah prohibited the adultery, zina, right? So anything that could lead to zina, the pre-mingle, the pre-mixture, or watching that types of movies or reading that types of books, right? That also will be haram, right? Even though reading the book is not itself halal, but if it leads to something haram, that's why Allah mentioned what? La taqrabu zina. Don't even close. So close means don't even close means don't take any means, don't take any ways that could lead to the adultery. Right. So this is called saddu zara'i. But there are three types of saddu zarai. Means there could be three scenario. The first one is rarely lead to harmful result. Means the probability whether this one lead to something harmful or not. All right. If the probability of leading something harmful, something illegal is very low, let's say only 10% or 20% or 30%, well, this one is still, we can go for that because the probability is very low. If the probability is very high, let's say 70%, 80%, that for sure this one will lead to something illegal. 70% sure that grape production, the grapes will go for wine factory, so that also will be haram. But the third scenario, if there is equal probability, the 50-50, then it is difficult to judge. It is subject to the situation. It is subject to the respective circumstances, right? Then we should see the context. Okay. But however, if the probability is very high to lead something illegal, then that lawful means also should be stopped. This is called saddu zarai. Okay. So for Islamic banks to do investment into something doubtful or something could lead to haram, all right, is not allowed. What is the dalil? Saddu zarai. That's why, let's say, if any investment makes the environment polluted or makes any river dirty, whatever, pollute environment, culture, society, destroy the local culture, so that also should not be allowed, that investment for Islamic banks. Right. So that are the some application for Saddu Zarai. Finally, the last one for the secondary sources is urf. What is the meaning of urf? Urf means, as I mentioned, custom, culture. Right. So urf has two types. Urf qawli, custom in saying words, and urf fi'li, custom is in action. Because how people speak, how people pronounce, that is the every locality or every country, they have their own culture, right? If, let's say, some pronouncement is considered good here, maybe it could be considered bad in other culture. Some action could be good here, could be accepted, maybe could not be accepted in other culture, right? So the particular culture, particular customary practices should be considered. This is called urf, right? For example, uh, in Quran, Allah mentioned when you do marriage, you have to give mahar, right? But there is no clear amount mentioned in the Quran or Sunnah, amount of mahar. So how much will be the mahar? It will refer to the custom and culture. The mahar, the common culture in Terengganu could be different from other state of Malaysia. The mahar culture in Malaysia overall could be different from other countries, from Thailand, from Indonesia, from Bangladesh, India, and so on. Right. So the respective culture should be considered. In the Quran, Allah mentioned when you do marriage, you have to give the living cost. You have to give and you have to pay for your family, right? You have to provide the food, housing, clothing, and so on. But how much? There is no clear amount. That will refer to the customary practice. In Muamalat, the urf has a lot of application. For example, in terms of making payment, mode of delivery, mode of possession, right? Doing ijab and kabul, physically or online, many things that all goes to the customary practice of that particular market. Right, that's why the Sharia says what? The custom among the businessmen, among the tradesmen, it will be considered. It's like their condition. So whatever is known by the custom, as if it is stipulated in the contract. Even though, let's say, we didn't discuss the mode of payment, but whatever common practice, that will be considered. Even though we didn't talk about the mode of delivery the commodity, the item, but whatever is common in the market, that will be considered. Okay, but like the maslaha, the urf also has some condition. Number one, the urf, there should be common and recurrent phenomena. Means people always practice that. If let's say sometimes people practice, sometimes they do not practice, that cannot be urf. Urf is something very common, right? Recurrent phenomena. People always practice. And urf must also be dominant in the sense that it is observed in all or most of the cases, right? Very common and must be in existence. The old culture will not be considered. Let's say we are now in 2020, we cannot consider the culture before 10 years ago. So the culture should be in existence. Still people practicing. The custom must not contravene the clear stipulation of an agreement. Of course, when there is an agreement, then the agreement should be given priority. Let's say even though the market practice is the item should be delivered free. But if the buyer and seller agree that there will be payment, they will pay 100 ringgit for the delivery, then they have to pay. They cannot say it is our culture. No. Agreement should be given priority over the custom. If there is no agreement, then it will refer to the custom. Okay. Finally, the custom should not be conflict with Quran and Sunnah. So these are the some common conditions, some condition for the urf. So we discussed the istihsan, istishab, maslaha mursala, saddu zaraya, and urf. So these are the five secondary sources of fiqh muamalat, and this is very important to understand these sources because all of these sources have a big number of application in Islamic finance, especially in muamalat. Okay. Okay, before proceed the last part of the presentation, the nature of fiqh muamalat. So I want to stop here for a while to take any question or anything from you. Okay, do you have any question? Ada soalan?
No, doctor.
No. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Okay, if no question, then we continue the last part of chapter 1, the nature of fiqh muamalat. We have fiqh ibadat, right? And we have fiqh muamalat. And we have also, we focus here, fiqh muamalat means the fiqh of business, right? The fiqh of commercial dealings. So the nature of fiqh muamalat is different from other types of fiqh. That's why it is important to know the nature of fiqh muamalat. Number one, when we talk of fiqh muamalat, when we talk about fiqh muamalat relies on the fundamental principle of the Sharia. Like other branch of fiqh muamalat rely on the fundamental principle and general maxim. However, it differs from others in such that the detailed ruling of transaction are left for ijtihad. It provides opportunities for the jurist to make ijtihad to solve the issue arising among the people. Okay, what does it mean? For example, in ibadat, there is little opportunity for ijtihad. Ibadat means to follow. So the Prophet said, pray whatever I pray, or pray as like I pray. Sallu kamaraitumuni usalli. Pray as you see me praying. Means whatever the Prophet pray, we have to perform our prayer exactly. So we cannot do something from ourselves, right? In terms of the rakat, in terms of the time, in terms of the way of doing salat, everything we must follow, right? So there is no not big room for ijtihad. Like see, zakat also, we have given exact amount 2.5%, and we have given the asnaf. So we cannot go beyond the asnaf for zakat. If we go beyond the asnaf, that will be sadaqah, not zakat. So the asnaf also limited. But we can do ijtihad to extend the category of asnaf, means whether this guy is poor or not, this guy is miskin or not. That is maybe part of our judgment. But overall, the asnaf is limited and clearly mentioned, right? So, but in Muamalat, we are given only some basic principles. The details, we can do whatever we have to do to get our benefit. For example, in Muamalat, we have said riba is haram, gharar is haram, maisir is haram, cheating is haram, fraud is haram, right? Deception is haram. So we just follow that. Following these, we can design our own product. We can design our own services. Right? We can do whatever way it better for us. We think we can design our transaction. Right? So this is the nature of Fiqh Muamalat. It's only focus on the fundamental principle, but in ibadat, it's not like that. It should focus on details. Right? Even in criminology, for example, in terms of the punishment, still whatever mentioned we have to follow. Right? But in Muamalat, it is quite flexible. The second nature, permissibility as a general rule. This is I already mentioned in istishab, right? So the status of all matters other than rituals is permissible until evidence is given that a certain matter is prohibited. So I already explained, we can develop any product we like or we need, right? There is no need any evidence on the permissibility unless we can prove that it is prohibited. Okay? So permissibility as a general principle in Muamalat. So simple language, in Muamalat, everything is halal unless otherwise is proven, unless you can prove that it is haram, right? So you have to prove it is haram, but you don't need to prove it is halal in Muamalat, right? So there is a big room of flexibility and easiness to follow, right? Because the focus in Muamalat is to ensure the maslahah of the people. But the focus in Ibadat is to show the obedience, to surrender, right? So if I just follow instruction, that means I surrender myself. So that is the objective of Ibadat. But the objective of Muamalat is to achieve the maslahah, right? So everybody's way of achieving maslahah could be different. That's why everybody can design their own product, their own contract, but just to need to follow some fundamentals. Okay, so this is the second nature. The third one is Fiqh Muamalat appreciate human reasoning and welfare. Right. So most of the Sharia ruling related to Ibadah are beyond human reasoning. In Ibadat, we don't understand why Maghrib is 3 rakat, Isha is 4 rakat, Fajr is only 2 rakat, why we don't have any office time. But in Zohar, we are in the busy time, Asr in the busy time, but we have to perform 4 rakat. So all this we don't understand. And we don't need to understand. But in Muamalat, we can use our reasoning, whether it brings benefit for me or not, right? So Muamalat depends on our own understanding. That's why in economics, something called rational behavior, right? And economics assume that people are smart enough to make a good decision, right? Rational thinking and rational behavior. So Muamalat, we can use our own brain, our reasoning. And Muamalat also promote welfare. Most of the Sharia ruling related to Muamalat are based on analogy and welfare of human beings. Prohibition of eating others' property illegally to remove enmity among the people. Why you cannot take other people's money? Because it will create problem in the society. You become enemy after this, right? That's why without permission, we cannot touch even other people's property, right? This is the third nature. And finally, the fourth one, Muamalat is between rigid and flexible. So in Islam, everything always in a balance, right? So in Muamalat, we are not given open, something rigid we have to follow. For example, riba, no compromise. Gharar, no compromise. Maisir, no compromise. Right? So Sharia ruling related to fiqh muamalat may change due to change of time, welfare of human being. We have also part of flexibility. For example, permissibility of tawarruk transaction. So sometime, for example, this time I'm doing this transaction, maybe tomorrow or some after 6 months, I don't like it. I have to change. So I change. I have that kind of flexibility. And rigidness, however, some basic Sharia ruling related to muamalat are rigid and not subject to any change, like the riba, prohibition of usury. So some principle will never be changed. It is rigid. Rigid means very strict, no compromise. So muamalat is a kind of combination between the rigid and flexible. We have flexibility, but at the same time, we have to follow certain principles, no compromise. Okay, so these are the basic nature of fiqh muamalat. Number one is rely on fundamental principle. Number two, permissibility as a general rule means everything is permissible unless otherwise is proven. Number three, appreciate the human reasoning and welfare. Number four, fiqh muamalat is between rigid and flexible. Okay, so with that, we conclude the chapter one. In this chapter, we discuss the definition of fiqh muamalat and its relation with other part of fiqh. And we also explain the importance of fiqh muamalat in our transaction. And we also discuss the importance of acquiring knowledge of fiqh muamalat with the sources. And we discuss the details of the sources of fiqh muamalat. And finally, we discuss the nature of fiqh muamalat. Okay. So with that, I want to finish my presentation, my lecture today. Thank you very much. So now finally, if you have any question, anything you want to know, you can ask. Okay. Thank you very much.